Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Paul and I'm a Senior Solutions Architect at Amazon Web Services. Today I'm going to be talking about Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Services' ability to use envelope encryption to encrypt your Kubernetes API data. Amazon EKS provides default envelope encryption for all Kubernetes API data in EKS clusters running Kubernetes version 1.28 or higher. Envelope encryption protects the data that you store with the Kubernetes API server. For example, envelope encryption applies to the configuration of your Kubernetes cluster, such as config maps or Kubernetes secrets. Envelope encryption does not apply to data on nodes or EBS volumes. This provides a managed default experience that implements defense in depth for your Kubernetes applications and doesn't require any action on your part. Finally, this feature enables you to bring in Amazon Web Services' own key or your own customer managed key from AWS KMS. Let's take a deeper look at how Amazon EKS uses KMS to implement envelope encryption. All API data is encrypted before it is persisted in the etcd database. At startup, the cluster API server generates a data encryption key from a secret seed combined with randomly generated data. Also at startup, the API server makes a call to the KMS plugin to encrypt the data encryption key seed using a remote key encryption key from AWS KMS. This is a one-time call executed at startup of the API server and on key encryption key rotation. The API server then caches the encrypted data encryption key seed. After this, the API server uses the cached data encryption key seed to generate other single-use data encryption keys based on a key derivation function. Each of these generated data encryption keys is then used only once to encrypt a single Kubernetes resource before it's stored in etcd. With the use of an encrypted cached data encryption key seed in KMS, the process of encrypting Kubernetes resources in the API server is both more performant and cost-effective. Now let's take a look at how Kubernetes resources are encrypted. First, a user creates or updates a Kubernetes resource that is to be encrypted. The Kubernetes API server uses the derived data encryption key to encrypt the Kubernetes resource. Then the encrypted Kubernetes resource is stored in etcd. Now let's jump into a quick demo to see how this works. In this demo, I'll create a standard EKS cluster with encryption enabled using an AWS KMS customer managed key. First, I'll create the cluster config file, and I'll specify the KMS key ARN that will be used for envelope encryption of the Kubernetes API data. Next, I'll run the create cluster command and wait for the CloudFormation template to deploy. Now that the CloudFormation template has finished deploying, I'll go to the EKS console to check out the cluster that was created. If I scroll down, I'll see that the envelope encryption configuration is using the KMS customer managed key that I specified on creation. And that's it. That's all it takes to use a KMS customer managed key for envelope encryption of your Kubernetes API data.